I'm not a financial advisor. Before you make any investment decisions, make sure you consult with a financial professional.
Hi, my name's Aaron Lewis.
It's been a while.
No, not that Aaron Lewis. This Aaron Lewis. I've got 2 Emmys for editing. I've been working at that for about 20 years in Hollywood. I've written 3 shows that have been optioned. The first was a half-hour animated series. The second was a 1-hour drama series that Will Smith came on to co-produce. Yeah, that used to be more impressive. And the third was a zombie apocalypse show that we did for YouTube Originals. We did a pilot and 2 seasons of Fight of the Living Dead, and it was a blast. But despite all these successes, I pretty much live hand to mouth because I never learned how to save or invest. Investing and savings, those weren't the kinds of conversations that we had at our dinner table. It was mostly listening to whatever gross or traumatic thing happened in the ER that day for my mom.
This is just the sweetest.
The beginning of the solution for me came around 2017. This is when I opened up an Acorns account and saw that investing could be easier. It wasn't this mythical thing that only rich people did. I could put it on my phone and be okay. So I started small with $5 a week. And after 2 or 3 weeks, I was like, let's do $10 a week. $10 a week, a couple more weeks, $20 a week, and so on until eventually I got to a point where I was actually making an impact in relation to my income.
Jeff Franklin!
In 2018, I saw another app that I felt would be a better fit for me to allow me to diversify my portfolio some more. And I also found out that Stash would allow me to create a fund for my kids. And I was like, okay, well, I'll try it out, see how I can handle it. Started small, kept increasing it, and by October 2022, I was putting about $305 a week into my Stash account, which is about $1,200 a month or about $14,000 a year. For my kids, I was doing $140 a week, split 2 ways, so $70 per kid, and that came to about $560 a month or $6,720 annually. Again, divide that by 2.
Hey. Sup?
Then disaster hit Hollywood in the form of 2 strikes at once, the Actors and Writers Guild. All work stopped. Unless you were on a show that had a contract that was guaranteed to keep going, you sort of lost the musical chairs game. You were out. And I was one of those guys. The good news was that by January 2023, my fund had gotten up to about $23,000. So I had a cushion that I could use to get through the hard times. Initially, we didn't know how long it was going to take. We thought that it would be April or May, things would pick up again. April, May came and went. Then they started saying, okay, maybe August, July. August, July came and went. By that point, I had exhausted $20,000 from my fund. Things were not looking good. We were able to make ends meet until about September, October. Then it came to the point of, okay, we got to make a serious decision. We had to sell our house in California and move to Florida to be close to my wife's family, so that way we could make ends meet. Although we were going to my wife's side of the family, which is bigger, we were happy about that. There's still family back in California that we miss dearly. And I don't want my kids to have to go through that similar kind of fate. So the question became, well, what can I do?
I came up with a plan, similar to the Rockefeller Trust, but instead of using life insurance, it uses small investment portfolios to build multi-generational wealth.
What is it? Let's find out.
I call it Tree Source.
What is a tree source? A tree source is an investment account placed into a trust and given away to somebody named as the beneficiary, either a person or a group. It can be a family, it can be a charity, it can be anything. The catch is it has to sit for 45 to 60 years until it starts producing $100,000 to $1 million of annual growth. So 45 years, assuming a 10% average rate of return, should make around $100,000 a year. And letting it sit for 70 years could make $1 million a year in growth. Even crazier than that, if it sits for 100 years, it could make up to $20 million a year. The more it sits, the more a tree source grows. It's vital to put these funds into a trust with rules and guidelines so that these resources are protected from the bad decisions of youth. I don't know about you, but I made some bad calls in my younger days. Orange hair with black tips? What was I thinking? Speaking of bad youthful decisions, I was counseled by my financial advisor when I became an editor and started earning what I consider to be a significant income. Did I take his advice and start investing? Nope, I spent it all. I became an editor in February of 2005. At that point, I had no savings, so we'll make that 0. Now let's say I took his advice and started putting away, let's say $250 a month, which would have been totally doable.
Holy cow, today I would have had about $146,000 in value or $134,000 after taxes. Ouch. Now what would it have looked like if I'd put $1,000 a month into this investment account? It would have sucked, but I could have done it. I'm kind of scared to find out what this is going to look like based off of the last numbers. It's only going to get worse. And wow, $500,000. That dings the ego a bit. Not sure I want to do this given the way this is progressing, but let's take a look and see what it would have looked like had I invested at the same level as at the end of 2023. Okay, this is depressing me now. Let's move on.
There's three basic ideas that inspired TreeSource for me. The first was a quote from Albert Einstein who was talking about compound interest. He said, "Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Those who understand it make it, and those who don't pay it." Now that kind of refers, I think, to if you make interest, then you've got investments. If you pay it, then you're using credit cards, loans, things like that. We all do. It's okay. Doesn't mean it's the end of the world. But TreeSource is an idea of like how we can maybe sidestep that. The second idea or quote is from the Buddha. He said that even if a whole mountain were made of gold, double that would not be enough to satisfy a single person. Know this and live accordingly. This account is not a gigantic investment, $10,000, spread over 100 months. That's like a cell phone payment. But you're going to give it away. So that way it can potentially become a family bank, something you can draw from. Let's say you want to put a down payment on a house, you've got a TreeSource. You want to go to college, you've got a TreeSource. The third idea comes from a Greek proverb that kind of speaks to the very nature of TreeSource. It said, "A society grows great when old men plant trees under whose shade they know they'll never sit." Imagine, what if your parents knew about this idea? What if they planted a TreeSource for you? How much different would your life be today? I'm 46, so had my parents done that when I was born, I'd be sitting on a pretty big cash pile right now that would be able to help out my family in the situations that I'm talking about. We wouldn't have had to move to Florida. We could have stayed in California and continued our lives. But here we are today. We're moving forward, not regretting the past, but we're coming up with solutions for the future. And that's what TreeSource is about.
Now, although this plan isn't the silver bullet that's going to make life easy for everybody, I think it'll cut down on the financial constraints that I've had to face with the revolving debt problem and having to be forced to make a decision to sell the house in order to keep the family going. Having a resource that grows like a tree, that's why I call it TreeSource, having a resource that grows like a tree, you plant the seed, it grows and grows over time, eventually can turn into a lot of money. So it cuts down on lending. They'll have enough to put down a down payment on a house. They won't have to ask me for money. They'll have their own money that they can use to open up a business if they want to do a business. They can use it for education if they want to go to school and get a degree. And along the way, whenever they earn money, I tell them to put 10% of any money that they earn into this account. That means they're washing cars, they're washing windows, they're doing things like that. I tell them, okay, you made $20 for washing that car. Let's put $2 into your account. They hand me the money and I show them on my phone. There it goes, it's right into your account. That being said, since 2018 when I started their funds, I had some goofy ideas about what diversifying your portfolio meant. I've made some mistakes. And in the next video, I'll be going over how I'm going to streamline them and show you guys what I'm doing.
I'm not a financial advisor. Before you're making any investment decisions, make sure you consult with your financial advisor or a certified financial planner.